This is a Sicha from Parshas Vayishlach, Tafshin Nun Beis, and the Rebbe primarily speaks about the idea of Yud Tes Kislev falling out in the second half of the month and the significance of that. Why would the date of Yud Tes Kislev come out in the second half of the month when the second half of the month is seemingly not really perhaps such a positive type of thing? They says we'll start from Ois Beis, like I said, Behagdim Shailam, Utmiya Benegel, Chagaguli, Tiskisov Chagachag, Yesh Beshimel Gavashara Chag. My first prefacing a question, a wonder concerning the Yom Tov Yud Tes Kislev, which is also known by the Chassidish terminology as the Yom Tov of Yom Tovim, that it has a difference in comparison to other Yom Tov. Pesach and Sukkot, Nikvu v'Yom Chamish Asar b'Chodesh. Pesach and Sukkot were established in the 15th of the month. Pesach b'Tetzvav b'Nisan, Sukkot b'Tetzvav b'Tishrei. Pesach is in the 15th of Nisan, and Sukkot are on the 15th of Tishrei. Sheboi Kayim Asira b'Ashlamusa. Please remember this phrase because we're going to repeat this phrase again and again. Literally, it means the moon is in its fullness. And again, I'm not going to translate every single time because he's just going to keep on saying this throughout the Sicha. Shavuos is not on the 15th of the month, but still in all, in addition to the fact that the Yom Tov of Shavuos has nothing to do with the month. It's not the day of the month that determines when Shavuos is. Rather, it's the 50th day from when the Korban Omer was brought. But in the end, when it comes out in the days of the month, skip the parentheses, it's in the first month, that first half of the month, when the moon is skip the parentheses, that's increasing and growing day after day. And that's going to be the point that the Rebbe's question is about Yud Tes Kislev. Top of the next page. Mashenki Yud Tes Kislev as opposed to Yud Tes Kislev. Not only it doesn't come out in the 15th of the month, when the moon is full. You say them as even more so. It's in the second half of the month. When the moon is decreasing day after day. So to concerning the Yom Tov of Chanukah, skip the parentheses, at the beginning of Chanukah, and the majority of Chanukah is in the last days of the month, from the 25th of Kislev and on, when the moon is decreasing, till it becomes covered and becomes completely concealed. So now the Rebbe is going to ask a very interesting question about the numbers, how we number the days of the month. It's a very curious type of question. Yes, Levayat Chila is Gimel. We first need to explain Teichen in the Meat Halvana V'Chetzi Hashem Shal Chodesh V'Yachas LiYisrael Shemayim Levan. We have to first explain the content of the idea of the lessening of the moon, the decreasing of the moon in the second half of the month, in regards to, in comparison, because Yidden are connected with the moon because they count according to the moon. Bagdama, by prefacing, since in the first half of the month, the light of the moon increases day after day. In the second half of the month, the moonlight decreases day after day. So seemingly the count, which is the whole idea, is where the Jewish people count according to the moon. So if we're counting according to the moon, we should have counted the first half of the month. We should be counting the days in an increasing value. We should say this is the first day of the month, this is the second day of the month, until we reach the 15th. ובחצי השני של החודש, in the second half of the month, ימינין היומים פויחס והוילוך. So the days should be decreasing the way we count it. Yom Tes Vav, we should count the 15 and then go down. Yom Yudalit, then we should go. What we're presently counting as number 16 should be 14. Ad Yom Aleph until the last day of the month will be called 1 because it's decreasing in value. So the Rebbe goes on the top of the next column. Aval, but the truth is, not only does the count of the days in the second half of the month is we don't decrease the value of the numbers. Just the opposite. It is increasing. Like the number is also in comparison to the 15th. The count of the day that follows the 15th, skip the parentheses, Yud Tes is number 16. Mispar echad yoser mispar tes vav, one number greater than the 15. And the number of the day that follows the 16th, skip the parentheses again, Yud Zayin is the 17th. Beis misparim yoser mispar tes vav, two numbers greater than the number 15. So too. Till we come to counting the final day of the month. Then the light of the moon is completely concealed. Either it's the 29th of the month or the 30th. We have so many more numbers and double than the number 15. In other words, where we're seeing where the Rebbe is leading us over here is that despite the fact that the 15th of the month, the moon is at the fullest, really, there is actually a growth, but as we're going to explain, it's a growth that is not visible. It's a growth that allows for the essence to come forth. I'll give you the point of it in a minute. The Rebbe adds to this even more so how the numbers of the month, each one has greater significance that were the numbers that were increasing. In addition to the increase in the second half of the month, in the numbers of the days of the month, is emphasized also the advantage also in the gematrias of the days and the hints of the days. What does that mean? For example, Mispar Yud Zayin, when we get to the 17th of the month, is a gematria toiv. That's the numerical equivalent of the word good. Mispar Yud Ches, when we get to the number 18, it's chai, it's about life. Mispar Yud Tes, a gematria, the bitoiv, number 19 is the gematria of in good. Mispar Chav is Yud b'miluai, the number 20 is when we write out the letter Yud phonetically. Yud Vav Dalet that equals 20. So it's the fullest number of 10, which that itself is the full number. Mispar Chaf Aleph, the number 21 is the same letters like Ach Tov Yisrael, only good for the Yidden. Mispar Chaf Beis 22 is B'cha Yivarech Yisrael, and you, the Yidden, should be benched. Mispar Chaf Gimel Hagematria Tuvay, that's a numerical equivalent of his goodness. Mispar Chaf Tala, the number 24, is V'samti Kod Kodshim Shesayich, is that I've made your, that when Moshiach comes, it says, I will make your windows out of a Kod Kod type of glass or precious stone. Mispar Chaf Hey, number 25, is Koisav Orchles Bnei Yisrael, so you should bless Bnei Yisrael. Chaf Vav, Mispar Shem Amfurish Havaya, 26, as we know, is the Gematria of Shem Yud Kei Vav Kei, Chav Zayin, the Gematria Zach. 27 is the numerical equivalent of pure and refined. Chavches Mispar Koyach. So that's the number of power and might. Chavtes Yimei Chodesh. Chavtes are days of the month. Shloshim Chodesh Malav gets that 30 is a full month. So we see actually that the following days of the month are better. Why is that so? And a lesson and an empowerment that we go up in holiness and we do not descend. This is in its full force all throughout the days of the month, also in the second half of the month, even after the fullness and perfection of the moon. Every day it increases even more so. And the point is, we have to understand the content of the idea of the decrease of the moon in the second half of the month. After the fullness and completion, it's going on decreasing from day to day. This doesn't follow the rule that we increase in holiness and we don't decrease. So the point that the Rebbe is going to say over here, I'm not going to learn a lot of this inside, but the point that the Rebbe is going to say is that it's only the light of the moon that decreases. It's not the moon itself. And if you remember, we learned also a Sicha about the advantage of Rosh Chodesh. The Rosh Chodesh is the birth of the new moon, that it's greater than the 15th of the month, because there we see the essence of the new month, not confused by the light that's revealed. Therefore, the idea of the essence of the month is more revealed in the times when the light of the moon is waning. Let's go to the top second column of the next page. According to this, we could say, that the decrease in light in the second half of the month is only a decrease in level of the light, only in the ray of the light. Because something that I spoke about earlier, I'm not going to elaborate on that, because the essence comes closer to its source more so than the ray. It's not a lessening of the revelation, because skip the parentheses, therefore it goes and increases in the number. Skip the parentheses again, the Mea Chodesh of the days of the month, Zayin Yud Ches, it increases in number 16, 17, 18 of Bnei Yisrael through Yidden. Since the essence of revelation increases more than the revelation of the light. And now the Rebbe says, even though that would be true in every month, because every month has this increase in number 17, 18, 20, 30, etc. But it's even more so in the month of Kislev. We could say, this is even more emphasized in the moon being full of the month of Kislev. The month of Kislev is the third month of the winter month. It corresponds to the third month of the summer month. In the summer month, Nisan is the first month, Iyar is the second month, Sivan is the third month. What is this third month? The month of Matan Torah, which is called the Yarchet Lisoi, the third month. And similar to this, the month of Kislev is a Chodesh, the Matan Torah, the Torah Chassidus Yud Tes Kislev. It's the month of the giving of the Torah of the Torah Chassidus. On the 19th of Kislev, the Rosh Hashanah, Matan Torah, the Torah Chassidus, it is the Rosh Hashanah and the giving of the Torah of Torah Chassidus. The Rebbe says, let's maybe skip over here a little bit. So he says, Valpiza Yesh Loimer, top of the next page, or second to the top paragraph in the next page, according to this third paragraph, Valpiza Yesh Loimer, according to this, we could say, Shebemilui Vishlemas Halavana Biyudal Tasvav V'Chayesh Ashlishi, in the filling up and the completion of the month in the 14th and the 15th of the third month. HaChodesh the Matan Torah. It's the month of the giving of the Torah. Yom Chasanasi, the day of his wedding. Nasis Tachlis Hashlemis Nisuim Hakadosh Baruch Hu Knesset Yisrael becomes the ultimate perfection of the marriage of Hashem and the Yidden. And therefore, let's skip over to 3 lines in the bottom of this paragraph. Now the Levana becomes similar to the sun, because Yidden are likened to the moon, and Hashem is likened to the sun. They become entirely as one. The Rebbe says something that we had already in previous Sichas. Go down to Ois Ches, in the second column over here. This is also hinted in the name Kislev. The special name of the third month of the winter. Kislev Kailul Beza Tevis Kislev. Kislev, we learned this in other sichas as well, that Kislev is a combination of case and light. Case, Malashon, Kisli Helen. Case is the word covering and concealment. A loy mispari lamed vav, and loy, which is the numerical equivalent of 36, hagimatria de ela. It's the numerical equivalent of the word ela, which means these. The word these, might al gilu. You could point to it. You say these are the things. Chosen revelation. It's also shisha pam shisha, 6 times 6. 6 times 6 is the idea of the 6 midos. As each one is included, it contains in it 6, which also the midas are revelation. Kislev, the joining of both of them in one word, Kislev, Moidal, Chibar, Ahelam, Vagili, it indicates the joining of concealment and revelation. Hainusha, Etzem, that means that the essence, skip the parentheses. Bob is Galus, comes out in a revealed way. Skip over to the next to the last line, but in such a way that they become entirely as one. And then the Rebbe goes on to say, "Umudgish gamba yomtiv shebesiyumay v'chaysim shal Kislev." This is also emphasizing the yomtiv that's at the conclusion of the month of Kislev, yomtiv the Chanukah. The yomtiv of Chanukah she'imi yoytze b'siyumay shal chodesh. Though it's at the conclusion of the month, when the moonlight is decreasing day after day. Mudgish by Bapayal, Begalo, in the mice of a Hailuk is emphasized in them in an actual way, in a revealed way, the idea that it increases and it goes. Yemrish Madlik Achas Mekan. I'm sorry, Yemrish Madlik Achas, the first day he lights one, Mekan ve'elach mice of a Hailuk, from here and on the increases. Shema Yom Yom Hailuk, when it ties of a day after day, it increases in the light. This is emphasized that the decreasing in the light of the Levana is only a decrease in the level of light, only in the ray. And skip to the next line. It's not a decrease in the revelation. Day after day, it illuminates more and more. 2 candles, 3 candles. That increases in the revelation of the essence. And now he's going to get to the question that we asked originally. According to this, we can explain the reason. The reason why the establishment of the Rosh Hashanah of Teres Chassidus, the Yom Tov of all Yom Tov, is not like the other Yom Tov that were established and connected with the fullness of the moon, rather after the fullness of the moon. The special, unique quality of Rosh Hashanah and the giving of the Torah of Teres Chassidus, the Yom Tov of Yom Tovim, boy Maschila is Chalas, is Galus, the Torah of Moshiach, time Torah of that. In the Yom Tov of Yud Tes Kislev begins the revelation of the Torah of Moshiach, time Torah, the reasons of the Torah, skip the parentheses, Torah Chadash Mitetze, a new Torah will come out from me when Moshiach comes. Ve'ein Arechel is Galus Shoyis Matan Torah, incomparable to the revelation that was in Matan Torah, the Torah that a person studies in this world, meaning the revealed part of the Torah, is insignificant in comparison to the Torah of Moshiach. Top of the second column. One of the main advantages days of Mashiach over Matan Torah is the idea of marriage. It is a medrash, like it's brought down in medrash. This is analogous to a king that betrothed a woman, and he wrote for her. He wrote in small gifts. When he came after the Kiddushim to the Nisuyim, then he wrote away for her great gifts like a husband. So to this world until Moshiach comes is like a betrothal. Like it says, I betrothed you forever. All he gave the Yidden was the moon. This month, meaning the moon, is for you. When Moshiach comes, it will be the complete marriage. Because your husband is the one that makes you. That's when he gives them everything. Like it says, that those that are understanding, they will shine like the shine of the firmament, and those that make righteousness for everybody, like stars forever. The true joining of the Hashem and the Jewish people that's going to come totally one, like marriage, is when Mashiach comes. Then will be fulfilled the promise. That will be the light of the moon, will be like the light of the sun. The Yidden are not just like a moon that receives from the sun, skip the parentheses. They're like the sun itself, skip the parentheses again. Since it's revealed that the Yidden and Hashem are entirely one. The Torah this is why this is hinted that when we set at the time Rosh Hashanah and giving of the Torah's Chassidus after the fullness of the moon. Shebazed, that with this merumezes hashleimus the shleimus halavana laachrei u'beisafa al kabol saracham b'shleimus. We're talking about the perfection of the moon after the 15th, when it receives the light of the sun completely. We reach a state of the light of the moon being like the light of the sun. The Rebbe then continues that in that year, as well as this year also, the Protis Yoser specifically, Akvisu B'Yamashlishi, it's in the third day of the week, Shemus Baruch Miyam Shabbos, Shechabot Tezayim B'Kislev, that the third day of the week got its bracha from, as we know, Shabbos. The previous Shabbos always blesses the next days of the week. It gets its blessing from the Shabbos that came on the 16th of Kislev. What's the 16th? The first step of this type of seeing the essence. Then the moon comes close to the sun to be like it, because that's why it's being blocked out, that it's getting darker, because it's getting blocked by the sun. After the preparation of the completion and the wholeness of the moon that took place on Friday between the 14th to the 15th of Kislev, then it comes from the Tuesday of Yud Tes Kislev and continues on the Wednesday, because on the third day of the week, on Tuesday, skip the parentheses, it was doubled. The word kitayv, it says in the Parsha twice kitayv. Why does it say twice? It's good for the heavens, it's good for the creations. The joining of the ones above to ones below. Skip the parentheses. They become one existence. Wednesday, that's when it was created and hung up in the heavens, the two great luminaries, that then the moon did not receive from the sun. It was only later on. Let's skip over. Ois Yud, Vayishlach Kasher in Parshas Shavuot, we can connect this with the Parsha of the week. A Parsha Erev Shabbos, the Yom Shabbos, Parshas Vayishlach, a Parsha Yom Shlishi Yom Revi, Yud Tes Kislev, Parshas Vayishlach. We can connect this with the Parsha of last week and this week's Parsha. Next paragraph. Achidush of Avodas Shel Yaakov, Parshas Vayishlach, Vayishlach Yaakov, Vayeshev Yaakov, L'gab Avodas, Parshas Vayetze Yaakov, Toldos. The difference between what Yaakov did in Parshas Vayishlach and Vayesh over what his avodah was in Vayetze and Toldos. Skip over the parentheses. Parshas Vayishlach, Vayeshev, and Gemar Avodas Habirut. These are the conclusion of the service of refining and elevating the sparks. Hein Habirurim de Lavan, both are elevating the sparks of Lavan. Vehein Habirurim de Esav, and also refining the sparks of Esav. Ad kedei kach, to such a degree, Yaakov muchon kvar lamayim the matzah de Moshiach Mashiach. So this brings down that the reason that Yaakov sent Malachim to Esav is he was telling him that he was already ready for Mashiach's time. Shalachein Aleph first of all says Vayishlach Yaakov Malachim lefanav al Esav Archiv Arsach Sheit. That's why he sent Malachim to his brother Esav to the land of Seir. Shesholach la'idiyah. He sent it to let him know, according to what Chassidus explains, Shenigmar v'nishlam b'taksar shleim sabchinus madreges. It was concluded in a complete way. The levels of all the different levels, kulam nisbaru v'nisaknu, all of them were already refined and fixed up. V'yagia azman le'elaf Yaakov la'geula, and he was letting Esav know that came the time that both of them should already go to the geula. Avay al adoni se'ira, that I will come to my master and say, Mashiach, just like in the days of Moshiach, Shenamar Basim V'chayis Haftarah, the Parshas Vayishlach, like it says, at the conclusion of the Haftarah of Parshas Vayishlach, V'ol Mashim Artzin L'Shpoitz Ha'reis, and Vayishlach Sham Lucha, and those that will save the Eden will go up and Har Tzion to judge the Mount of Esav, and then Hashem will be king. Beis, that's Parshas Vayishlach. Vayeshev Yaakov, Bikish Yaakov Leish B'Shalva, it says that Yaakov wanted to sit in tranquility, and he actually did have a tranquil life. Until the upset of Yosef came upon him. And also he was in a state of peace in the land of Mitzrayim from Kuf Lamed Alf to Kuf Mem Zayin L'Chayav, from his 131st year to his 147th year when he passed away. Until the time of fulfilling of the promise of the true tranquility that's going to be in the days of Moshiach. Then it will be the ultimate idea of redeeming it in peace my soul, like the Middle Rebbe explains. The true idea of redemption and peace, my soul, Mashiach will be in the days of Mashiach. Skip the parentheses. And the difference between the state, the situation of Yaakov, when he's involved in refining the sparks, to the state of Yaakov, and when he concludes the service of Birudim, that he's already ready for the days of Mashiach. While derech achiluk b'mamoda matzava shalavon kishmakat kabels ma'chamal or modam betzaduk kishneim shavim, like the difference between the state of the moon, the way it's receiving from the sun, concerning to the way they are the same. Let me skip a little bit over here. Let's see, Ois Yud Aleph from the next page, Ubagdama, and to preface, though from Yaakov's perspective, it was already all concluded, the avodah of the refining of the sparks. And then from Yaakov's perspective, there could have been, and there should have been already the redemption, skip the brackets. It didn't actualize because of the world. After the actions and the service of Yidden throughout all the generations. And including specifically after the revelation of the Yud Tes Kislev, the 19th of Kislev, Then began the main idea of spreading your well springs outward. It increases and goes through our Rebbeim, our Nesiim, from generation to generation. Till my father-in-law, the leader of our generation, although the Friedrich Rebbe, through the Friedrich Rebbe was spread out the well springs outward in all the ends of the earth. And everything was already completed. Also, because of and in the world, which idea is like he already let it known and he already announced that all matters of service were already completed. Also the polishing of the buttons, and everything is ready for the coming of Moshiach. Then moving to this understood. That the continuation of our avodah following all of this being ready calls man from Moshiach that came to Misak and Mezi Siba built the Yadum of Vanis Klal. For the entire time the Mashiach's coming is delayed for whatever reason that's unknown and not understood. It is not the avoid of refining the sparks, time of initial avoid because already concluded and finished the avoid of refining the sparks. It's a special avoid of bringing this down into the world that we have to reveal it into the world. Let's skip over a little bit more over here. Moshiach. Then move on. Bottom paragraph on 2 pages further. Then moving to this understood. Should be Yameinu Elam Mamish. That Mamish in these days. All we have to do is open the eyes for Liris and Metzias for Poil Mamish and to see the actual existence. And the Rebbe says in footnote 112, this means that not only do we have to affect in the world, that's already done, but we only have to open the eyes because we have to see it. We're sitting together with Hashem. Israel, Yidden, Hashem are entirely one. Shulchan Aruch in a set table, the Sudas HaNesuim, to the marriage banquet, Suda Levyasan Sharabar V'Ayim Meshurmar, the Suda of the Levyasan and the wild ox and the wine that was preserved from the days of creation. At the end of the meal, the Vayishlach tells David, the King Moshiach, take the Koshel Bracha, make Birchas Hamazon, so David the Melech says, Moshiach says, I will bench it. To me, it's appropriate to bench it. As it says, that I will lift up a kais of salvation and I will call out in Hashem's name. We'll stop over here.